Here we are in Abilene, Kansas, home of President Dwight D. Eisenhower, home of Old Town Abilene, home of the Greyhound Museum, and we're also going to the Abilene Cemetery to look for a certain grave.
Here we are at the Dwight D. Eisenhower Library and Museum. We've got a train behind us. Let me turn this around a minute. There's the train and it's loud. So we're gonna go pull in here and video the house and the museum and the Eisenhower grounds. This is the Eisenhower Museum in Abilene, Kansas. We're going to walk around here. Eisenhower's library is just on the other side of this building. And then we're going to go by the house where he grew up and where he was raised. See, over there is the library. It's a big old building and it says library out front. His presidential library is on the other side. This is the library. If you look across here, the little white building over there is his house, and there's the museum. We're going to walk over toward the house and get a closer look at the house. This is a house where Eisenhower grew up as a kid. He was not born in Abilene, but he moved here. I believe he was in elementary school, and then he graduated high school at Abilene High School. So in all those years of middle school, high school, this was the house that Eisenhower lived in. Abilene has a lot of things to see. It's an old, old town. Eisenhower home. Eisenhower home, 1898 to 1946. Little chapel on the grounds of where Eisenhower's house, museum, and presidential library are. This says place of meditation. I'm guessing this beautiful fountain in front would be turned on in the summertime. It's still winter time, as you can tell. It's a beautiful chapel. We're going to go see if we can look in the door. This is a directory of all the things on the grounds. His house, his museum, his library. And inside this chapel, Eisenhower is supposed to be buried. And we would like to go in, but today it's not open.
This is an old photo of Dwight Eisenhower during his presidential campaign in Abilene, Kansas, with an old classmate he met up with at a drugstore, David Chase.
We're across the street from the Greyhound Hall of Fame. Abilene used to raise a lot of Greyhound dogs, and they had a lot of Greyhound races around here. Not so much anymore. There's not many Greyhound races and not many Greyhound dogs being raised around here anymore. Thing of the past. Hickock Rodeo grounds in Abilene, Kansas. Every year they have riders coming in here from Texas and New Mexico. We've had Canadian riders. It's a National Pro Rodeo Association, an NPR sanctioned rodeo, so it's a really good one. They have good winnings, and they fill up these stands with people on both sides when it's time for the rodeo. It's an awesome, awesome rodeo. It's kind of a mess now because they didn't have a rodeo last year, but it's a great place for a rodeo.
Here we have David Chase's grave, and the infamous David Chase that was seen in the picture with Ike Eisenhower at the drugstore. Both of them buried in Abilene, Kansas.
We're at the Farmhouse restaurant, Mrs. K's in Abilene, Kansas. It used to be called the Historical Lena's, L-E-N-A-S. This is where Dwight Eisenhower came when he was elected president and came back home. He came to Lena's Family Restaurant. We drive up this road, and it's a farmhouse way up this road, and I'll get pictures in just a minute of the building itself. Lena's restaurant. It was in the house that she lived in, and she made it a restaurant, and now it's called the Farmhouse Restaurant. This is the old Abilene train station. They have a tourist train that runs in the spring and summer. You don't go very far. It's an old steam engine and open air cars. Got a real old caboose on it. We're walking straight ahead now into what's called Old Abilene Town. They made this look like an old town. This first building on the right, you'll see it says jail on it. We'll see what the buildings are next to it. I'll keep walking. It says the outhouse next to it. I guess that's the restrooms. How funny. There's an old longhorn cow in the front there. This first building, it says gunfighters. Second building says Way Station. Third building says the Potter Kansan. Of course, these are nothing's open. There's a statue of the cow hanging out here. We're going to walk down this boardwalk. This is the jail. Across the street we see Great Western Cattle Company, established 1871. Next to that it says Abilene National Bank. W.R. Wilson General Store. This looks like somewhere where we would have food and drinks in the summertime. Maybe a band on the bandstand up there. We look across here. After the general store, it says the Alamo Saloon. And in the summer, when there's tourists, that saloon is open and you can get all kind of fun non-alcoholic drinks. Gonna walk out here in the middle.